Hello and shalom, everybody. It is Monday. It is time to get into our study time. And so let us get into prayer because I can come out with certain things to share and get on to a lot when it comes down to starting to recap. And so I want to try to just get into it because I want to make sure I have enough time to share those thoughts while using up the hour for the chapter that we should get that we need to get into. So let's invite Father in. Abba Yahweh, we thank you for today. We thank you that we can take um, these opportune moments to come before you, Father, whenever we have available space. That's exactly what you hope for us to do, that we don't just go about thinking that um, that as long as we hold to a belief in you, then we're always good, and that's our connection to you. That's like a relationship. There's many times that we have gone through that. Even I am guilty of that, but it was that you wanted us to have a relationship by connecting to your words, because half of the time what we did by belief. And there are times where we didn't know, or we thought that you were only in a building, a church building, and therefore other times we just did our own thing. And so even our thoughts of believing in you was good enough, or we only saw you, at church, a building, and not knowing the fact that you were always around that. And finally, when we get to that place of knowing you're everywhere, um, yeah, we we mess up a lot of things. We have messed up a lot of ways of walking in your presence, not knowing the truth of what it is that to have a true relationship with you, and knowing that we have you at all times. And so I just thank you, Father, for the truths that you have opened up my understanding to, my eyes. I was blind and now I see, and now I walk in extra caution just to make sure that I'm trying my best not to, offend you, not to do anything that goes against your word. So I just thank you, Father, for these times that we can, when you can't wait. I know that you see that we're busy, but when you see that we have extra time on our hands, you hope that's the time that we come before you, wanting to open up your word and give over ourselves to you, to gain more and more clarity, more and more confirmation, more and more of your understanding. So this way we have you at all times in the right truth before many, always reflecting you in truth. So I just want to invite you, Abba, that you stay within my mind and my heart at all times. Take over my thoughts, because I need your guidance. I need your understanding, so I don't see it from my own perspective of what I want it to be saying, but to you come in with this is exactly what it's saying. And this way, many can see that you are always speaking in us, um, to know these things, to know that they are true. And so I thank you, Father, for this day. Um, in Yeshua's name, amen. Okay, so we did get through finally chapter 30 of last Monday, and we got to see um, the children that were starting to be born by Jacob's four wives. Okay, um, when he just wanted the one, he wanted Rachel, but that was not going to be um, not what he was hoping for, because his uncle Laban and the area where they lived, they had their own customs, their own traditions, than what he was not accustomed to by what he was raised. uh, that he was raised in the understandings of God's ways. He had his fathers beforehand to see what it is that they were, teaching him how to do things God's way. And all these things were supposed to be ever since the start of Adam and Eve. But remember, a lot of things got corrupt, a lot of things changed, and so a lot of areas have their different traditions because not everyone kept to Father's word. So that's where all the you know culture customs are different. But Father ended up calling out, to Abraham and started from that point on telling them, and uh, showing them who he was and what he wanted out of his people that would, accept him as their God, and they did. They chose Father. Okay, so we do see that where he had no choice but to have two wives at first, and then I guess it must have been something of no big deal in a sense for Rachel and Leah to kind of have this kind of uh, competitive, like, well, here's my maid, and I'll just get, I'll have my children through her. Um, just the other day, I saw a movie with my husband and my children, and I forgot the name of it. Uh, but it ended up, well, it was still in the story of Abraham and Sarah. And in the movie, Sarah ended up telling him, that she'll go ahead and have a son, or she'll have a child through Hagar, so that she'll claim the child through her, and that the way it says it in the movie was because by law I can do that. That's how she stated it. By law, I can have a child through her. And so, that's where I had looked at my husband and I asked him, like, law, I don't remember that being said by Father, but that's when my husband had to let me know that no, it's not. And the movie's depiction has their own uh, their own version of stuff. But who knows if that's where that got my eyes to open, like maybe that's exactly how it was seen. It was their custom, their culture thing before Father pulled out Abraham. So if you remember when I first started off reading and we got to the part of Abraham, and I shared that a lot of things that they didn't have Father yet, they had their own customs and culture, the customs from their culture, and so there was a lot of things that they Abraham didn't know Father by, um, and so we can see certain things that by the law, when we get to Father's word, why he doesn't want certain things, and why at this beginning point, he couldn't hold it against them because he had called them out from these people. So he had to work out what they needed to be doing right in his sight to be pleasing before him. Okay, so, but now that we have everything in a whole from way back, to the first examples of those that there was no choice yet, they didn't have the laws then, and Father could, like, bypass that and to educate them now how to be pleasing in his sight. And then now we have the laws to look upon and to know and adhere to what is still for us to be keeping. There's no excuse now from our end, now that we're here in the 21st century. We have everything at our, you know um, exposure to know these things and to walk it much more better. There is no excuse on our end. But anyways, so yeah, just going over that part with Jacob and why it ended up turning out the way that it did. Um, Okay, and then we got into the part where Jacob started to increase because now he wanted to leave that region. You know, he wanted to go back to his own homeland, and now it seems like his uncle Laban, and I before I got to come in, so that's why we can get on to the next chapter with each other. I did tell you guys to go ahead of me. I hope you guys did, and go ahead and read a different version, because they really didn't understand more or less what was going on between Jacob and his uncle as to like why he even needed to ask his permission to leave. You know, he already served his time. He already got his wives by fulfilling his promises to his uncle, and now I still don't quite understand why the need to even ask for the permission is just to me, because where I'm from, you know, and what I understand, you know, mm, I guess for whatever the US is known for by culture, is we don't need to ask permission, just do what you do. And now, don't get me wrong, we're learning Father's word of how to be for his kingdom. That's much more different. And so now I'm starting to learn how to um, be about uh, knowing what needs to get God approved. But I still don't quite understand why Jacob had to feel like he had to ask Laban for his permission to leave. But I guess it was just out of a respect thing. Like, I don't know if he was necessarily asking his permission or like just saying like, look, this is what I'm going to be doing, but are you okay with it? I don't know. I don't know how to look at that. But regardless, um, that's what is there. And it seems like Laban wasn't willing or wanting to let him go. I know I kind of referenced that towards like a job illustration, but we just got to stick to what it truly is on. And of course, it is with Jacob's story, and Laban still kind of looked like he was just willing to like, here, I'll give you what you're wanting, and therefore you kind of stay, because he did. When we got into that, we could see that Laban recognized that he was getting blessed by Jacob. So I don't know if he looked at Jacob like some type of a good luck charm, you know, something to that. Like he just he could tell that he was prospering because of Jacob having arrived. And I got around to reading where it says on chapter 30, verse 27, Laban said to him, if I have found favor before you, I would have divined it, for God blessed me at your arrival. I'm reading from the English Standard Version. It said that he did divination, and looking up that word in, I don't know if it was Greek or not. Let me go back over there. Um, but looking up that word specifically, let me see here, verse 27. Verse 27 on the English Standard Version. But Laban said to him, if I have found favor in your sight, I have learned by divination that Yehovah has blessed me because of you. Now, we know divination's not right, but when I went to go and look up divination, it takes us to a Hebrew word, um, nahas, I think, and nakosh, I guess. Nahash. I don't know how to say it, but that's what it's pulling up. And in a sense, there's many ways to look at what it's saying, and it's either the practice of divination, divine, observe signs, learn by experience, diligently observe. So you could just be one that's a really good noticer. That's how I take it, is that you could just tell, through observation. Yeah, you could take it in the other one where you possibly could have done some type of ritualistic um, practice to understand that um, Jacob was someone of importance or someone of good fortune. I don't know, but for him to recognize, like, hey, I know what I have of good here, So if I found favor in your eyes, what can I bless you by? And I take that as like, in order for me to keep you. um, that's how I just look at it. And then, of course, that's when he says, um, define your exact pay to me, and I will give it to you. And so he's like still trying to negotiate him staying with him. And he says, Jacob said, "You know what I have rendered to you, and how many of your livestock were with me." Like, he's like, it came to pass because of me, and it's not really necessarily because of him, but because he knew the God he served, and he knew the blessings that were meant to come to others because of the God he served. His father said that he would serve many through, you know, his chosen ones that he was with. And we saw that through Abraham, we saw that through Isaac, and now we're seeing that same saying uh, from father to Jacob. It passes on the same stuff. And so he's just letting him know, like, that your increase happened because of me. Um, Sorry. Well, honestly, it's just that's what it is. That it's like he didn't want him to go, and so I don't know if you how you took it when you read it in a different version. I went straight to the English Standard Version, but it kind of made me think, did Laban do it on purpose? Was he just trying to make it difficult so this way Jacob wouldn't go? Or did Jacob do it so this way through another thing that father would show him to do would astonish Laban, and therefore he would know that his word was good for it? In the sense that if you read both versions, the Septuagint that I'm reading, and then you go to the English Standard Version where I went, or another version, but I didn't read anything other than that. But it kind of seemed like, because Jacob ended up telling him, look, something along the lines of separating specific um, goats and um, gray sheep. In the English Standard Version, it's a black sheep, or yeah, a black lamb. But it would be a gray lamb. So it was kind of like, to me, I thought he was telling him, like, look, separate these specific ones for me, and and therefore when I increase by, if what comes by them, those will be mine, and what is not by those colored ones, specifically, then if they end up in mine, then that I'm lying. I'm stealing from you. He's kind of saying that's how you're gonna know I'm doing good business. And when I read it, it kind of seemed like Laban separated those and gave them to his sons so he could make the chances of those coming about in birth a little bit more difficult for him, because then all he would have are like plain colored ones, um, to increase uh, Laban's stock, and nothing would come by speckled. I don't know if that's how it works. I'm not a rancher that has animals to understand if you put this colored one with this one, chances are that one's going to come out exactly like these two solids. Not to say that something by um, speckled couldn't. I mean, I look at even my own situation with my children. Me and my husband, we had two little uh, light brown boys with dark black hair, and well, me and my husband were dark colored and black haired, and so when I got pregnant with my third one, we just expected that one was going to come out the same. So, and she turned out to be very, very different than us. So I get it. So maybe that part when I was reading it isn't that Laban was doing it maliciously and trying to make it hard. It could just be that, look, just take these ones out, and when they mate what does come from them by those colors, you'll know those are mine, and the rest that are not, you'll know those are yours. So this way it kind of differentiates what was speckled and striped and black that remained Laban's to begin with. It is now just separated, and he was just going to let the ones that were left bring about the colored ones that he was wanting. So I didn't know how to look at it, and I guess both can be seen as either or, but I kind of just lean on that one to just keep those ones already out of the picture. And then that's how he would be able to, they both would be able to tell um, that he did no funny business in stealing anything that belonged to him to begin with, and they belonged to him. Good business, I kind of see it that way, anyways. And then we ended up seeing that Jacob knew some stuff. He, depending on if Father gave him that understanding of uh, what to do in order to make his gain of the animals he was hoping to have to increase by, that one knowledge, with putting these branches for them to mate in front of wooden staffs. Um, but either which way, whether it was passed on knowledge, but all knowledge comes from Father, anyways. And we'll get to certain parts where we see that Father, He's the one that really gives us our intellects. So whether this was passed down to him of what he saw through his grandpa, his dad, um, but he had this knowledge of what to do, and it worked out in his favor, and he got a big increase out of it. And then that takes care of what we read through chapter 30. And I didn't go over chapter 29 like I kind of do in recapping two of them, because I know that what I read from last, it was a recap of another. And I'm always just trying to build from there and just to keep it that much more stronger memory. But it's not hard to know what was happening in chapter 29 and into 30, and it was just a situation with the ladies. Okay, so let us carry on. We are in chapter 31. Ooh, I didn't even start our hour. I am so sorry for that, but I normally do that. Now we get a full hour to the reading part. Okay, so we have for the title of chapter 31, Jacob flees from Laban. Okay, and then we have Laban comes after Jacob. Okay. Okay. Jacob heard the words of the sons of Laban, saying, Jacob has taken all our father's things, and he has made all this glory from our father's things. And Jacob saw the face of Laban, and look, It was not toward him like yesterday and the day before. Okay, so right there we have a little letter C. Now that I see it, I'm just gonna see what that means. On the bottom, it just says third day. So it was not toward him yesterday, and like yesterday and the day before, third day. Okay, so on the third day. Okay, so here we see that Laban didn't like what he heard, which kind of makes me think maybe it was out of scandal. If you go back and read it yourself, um, as to, well, let me show you. Let me get there. Okay, so I did go to the English Standard Version in um Genesis, and he said, I'm trying to find it. He says, verse 31, he said, "What shall I give you?" Jacob said, "You shall not give me anything. If you will do this for me, I will again pasture your flock and keep it. Let me pass through all your flock today, removing from it every speckled. Okay, let me pass through all your flock today, removing from it. Okay, so Jacob's saying this. If I go through your pasture, I will take out. Okay, let me pass through all your flock today, removing from it every speckled and spotted sheep and every black lamb, and the spotted and speckled among the goats, and they shall be my wages." So he's just telling him what he wants, and he told him exactly which colored ones he wanted. And then, that's how I take it, is that he wanted these ones specifically, so this way he can just increase in them mating and have more by those colored ones. And then he goes on to say, verse 33, "So my honesty will answer for me later when you come to look into my wages with you. Every one that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and black among the lambs, if found with me, shall be counted stolen." So, like, if they were solids or whatever, he's like, at least you know that I am doing you dirty. But he goes, but this will be honest for me. This is what you'll see. Uh, Laban said, "Good, let it be as you have said." But that day, okay, it's saying, but that day Laban removed the male goats that were striped and spotted, and all the female goats that were speckled and spotted, every one that had white on it, and every lamb that was black, and put them in the charge of his sons. So it's like he gave them, so this way he wouldn't have those animals um, to to work. Um, so Jacob wouldn't have those animals to work with to increase himself by. That's how I take it, but I mean, you can still see it on the other way. But now we can see now his sons are saying, in the sense, telling their dad, um, you know, Jacob has taken all of our father's things, and he has made all this glory from our father's things. Like, if it was a bad thing, like if he had a way of doing it wrongfully, he didn't. He just did some kind of knowledge that made it come to pass. But they're the ones that, it kind of seems like they're the ones that try to make it difficult for him not to be prosperous. So this way he wouldn't have a chance to leave as he was hoping to leave, and leave with the blessing that he only required, which was just his own herds, his own, he didn't ask for gold, he didn't ask for, you know, anything like that for him to like be bought in order, I guess, to, stay. He just wanted these animals and then to still be able to leave. But he told him, "I'll watch over your your flock still." But yeah, now we see where Laban is angry with been told to him, that it's still prospered either which way. That's how I look at it. That he's upset because it still worked for him in the long run. But anyways, let's continue. And Jacob saw the face of Laban, and look, it was not toward him like yesterday. It wasn't happy. and the day before. The Lord said to Jacob, return to the land of your father and to your family, and I will be with you. Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah. Okay, so now father is seeing what's going on, the whole thing. And now father's like, it's time for you to leave. It's time for you to leave that place. That place, Laban's place. It's just like that one expression, there's only one queen bee to a home. Um, that's why I could see the turmoil that was probably happening in Jacob's house with four women. But to me, I think Laban he was the king of that area, and he needed to leave his father-in-law's place. Anyways, verse 4, Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the plain where the flocks were, and he said to them, I see the face of your father, that it is not with me like yesterday and the day before, but Yehovah of my father was with me. Also, you yourselves know that I have served your father with all my strength. He's like, I've been good to your dad. But your father deceived me and changed my wages of 10 lambs. And God did not allow him to do me evil. Ooh, so see, I guess it is kind of what I was kind of thinking. What happened? From what I'm trying to make of it, I am not, like I said, I'm not a rancher, a farmer. I don't know a lot of, you know, growing crops and raising animals. So I'm really having to work with trying to envision what could possibly be the issue here. So that way it's retained, really trying to figure this out. But it kind of seems so. I guess this would be like confirming for me, possibly. Okay, and God did not allow him to do me evil. Because, like he said at the start, but your father deceived me and changed my wages of 10 lambs, because he changed them. He took out what he asked of him specifically. He wanted the speckled and the spotted, and then black. That's what I could see. And he took them out and gave them to his boys. And then I guess he only had 10 lambs to work with that I'm figuring was going to be solid ones. But I think Father's smartness helped him to increase with what he was able to do, and it worked out with him still getting this like he promised. He says, I'm only going to take what is speckled and black, spotted and speckled, and it did. They still came out being what he promised, and nothing wasn't a lie. And so now we can see why his father-in-law was sour towards him. Okay, and see, this is where he gives father honor, credit to him, having had that understanding, because we can see him say, and God did not allow him to do me evil. So their father does help you in those situations when he knows someone's trying to, do something to where it doesn't help you, especially when, Laban could tell that there was something about Jacob and he's been blessed by him. But like I said, because he could see that he had someone within his midst, someone good, take kids that maybe looked at him like a some lucky charm kind of thing. Try not to look at certain words like that, but that's how some people look at something on that. And they want to do everything to try to keep it. Okay, so, but anyways, back to it. So Father gave him that understanding, and he's giving Father the credit that he did not allow him to have evil upon him. Okay, verse 8. If he says thus, the spotted ones will be your wage, then all the sheep will bear spotted ones. Okay, so I guess now he's talking about what Father told him. That's how I'm taking it. If he says, thus the spotted ones will be your wage, then all the sheep will bear spotted ones. If he says the white ones will be your wage, then all the sheep will bear white ones. And God took away all the livestock of your father and gave them to me. So all I can assume with that is that certain animals weren't available, and he was thinking that, well, this ones won't have a specific color, so I'll tell him that he can have that out of these, because depending on what he knew from raising them himself, and he knew that certain colored ones only came out with certain colored, that's all I can assume. But I'm just seeing that it backfired when he told them that a specific one he could have for his wage. It ended up being by his word that it happened. Okay, verse 9. And God took away all the livestock of your father and gave them to me. And this happened when the sheep were in heat, and I saw with my eyes in sleep. And look, the he goats and rams who were mounting the sheep, and the she goats were speckled and many colored and ashen spotted males. Okay, so here I guess he's having a dream, a vision or something. With my eyes in sleep and look. Yeah. Okay, verse 11. And the angel of God said to me in my sleep, Jacob. Jacob. And I said, what is it? And he said, look up with your eyes and see the he goats and rams going up on the sheep. And the she goats were speckled and many colored and ashen spotted males. For I have seen all that Laban does to you. I am Yehovah, who appeared to you in the place where you anointed a pillar for me, and made a vow to me there. Now then, stand up and go away from this land, and go away to the land of your origin, and I will be with you. And Rachel and Leah replied and said to him, do we have a portion any longer, or an inheritance in the house of our father? Are we not considered foreigners to him? For he has sold us, and he gobbled up our silver. All the wealth and the glory that God took away from our father will be for us, and also for our children. Now then, do all that God has told you. Okay, so we can see that Jacob led him in to what Father was seeing the whole time, and how his prosperity happened, how it came about. And we can see that the girls themselves didn't have a problem of wanting to leave Daddy's house anymore. because I guess they felt already like, well, um, we're just someone to sell. He got his portion out of us, so um, we're yours. And I guess they even felt like they didn't fit in anymore. I mean, for them to be like, and are we not considered foreigners to him? I think that's what they could see from their dad, is that he was possibly a money hungry person. I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, there's a letter A next to the word on verse 15 on the word up. And that one is consumed with devouring. Consumed with devouring. Are we not considered foreigners to him? For he has sold us, and he gobbled up our silver, and he's consumed with devouring our silver. Yeah, I guess that's how they look at him, as like a money hungry person who's just eager to get rid of them. Okay, verse 17. Jacob got up and took his wives and children on camels, and he carried off all his possessions. Okay, there's a letter B by the word possessions, and it means the things at his hand. The things at his hand, with all his possessions, things at his hand, and all his baggage which he procured in Mesopotamia. And there's a letter C by Mesopotamia, and that is Hebrew Padan Aram, and all his things to depart to Isaac, his father, into the land of Canaan. Laban went to shear his sheep. Rachel stole the idols of her father. Jacob concealed from Laban the Aramean in order to not tell him that he was fleeing. Okay, so he kept it hidden. He didn't go and announce it to his father-in-law that he was taking off. Sorry, that's our dog. Verse 21. And he was running away with all his things. And he crossed over the river and started going to the mountain of Gilead. It was reported on the third day to Laban the Aramean that Jacob was running away. And taking along all his brothers with himself, he pursued after him a journey of 7 days. And he overtook him at the mountain of Gilead. And that's the next title for the verses that we're just reading now, is Laban comes after Jacob. So that's what we're seeing him do right now. Now that he's gotten word that Jacob's gone and his children. Okay, verse 24. And God came to Laban the Aramean during his sleep through the night and said to him, guard yourself lest you speak evil things with Jacob. He's giving him a warning. And that's what's beautiful when you finally have reached that um, that crossover point with Father. When you finally come to the realization that we are to be, obedient still to His word, and you do the things that He asks of you, circumcision and being baptized in His Son, and making them your own. You come into this covenant, and He becomes your God. You can rest knowing that He will meet your adversaries. um, like He's your guardian. He's going to come and give warning before anything, falls on you, because He knows you're trying your hardest to be pleasing in His sight. Okay, so now we see that Father stepped in, and He is just like, you better watch yourself. Okay, so guard yourself lest you speak evil things of Jacob. Verse 25, and Laban overtook Jacob. Okay, and so if you can recall, like I said, I like to recap, always keep that memory going with what we've read already, and it always seems that you can see where everything is a repeat. Father never changes. He doesn't change what He asks of you. He doesn't change what He is going to do for you, and we see the same things kind of in different um, through different people that come in by the next story, but it doesn't change what He's always asking of and what He does for. Okay, so we can recall when it was Abraham's time. We did see that Pharaoh had a dream, Abimelech had a dream, and then when Isaac went about it, the same person, Abimelech, he met him in a dream, or no, they remembered what had happened, um, but he met them in a dream. Okay, and so now we see Laban now. He's seen, Father in his dream. Okay, so verse 25, and Laban overtook Jacob. Jacob pitched his tent on the mountain, and Laban set up his brothers on the mountain of Gilead. And Laban, okay, and there's a little letter D in front of the word and on verse 26. And that is, I guess it's pointing us back to chapter 31, verses 26 through 27 in Hebrew. Okay, so we'd have to go back and check that out. Verse, no? Oh, I don't know. Oh, okay, never mind. We're on that chapter. I don't know why I did not register. We're in chapter 31, verses 26 through 27. 26 to 27 is in Hebrew. So I guess in these two verses, these were written in Hebrew. Of course, we're reading in English, but the writing of it was in Hebrew. Okay, verse 26. And Laban said to Jacob, what did you do? Why did you run away, stealing from me in secret, and carrying away my daughters as captives by the sword? If you had told me, I would have released you with festivity and with music, tambourines and lyres. I was not deemed worthy to kiss my grandchildren and my daughters. Now you have acted foolishly. Okay, so we can see some emotion being talked here. Okay, he's just upset with what had happened, but Jacob already could see for a long time. And you can see even by the daughter's own statements how they were already feeling by him. It's not like he was really um, this person that he's wanting to be deemed worthy. They're already experiencing, rough things by him, but he can't see himself. Most people that want to put the blame fully on someone, still can't see themselves as to what got what pushed people away from them, or why they, reacted in the way they did, and now he wants to play the, oh, woe is me, like poor me, how could you do this to me? So I don't know, I just that's how I look at it. Okay, so now he's just speaking out of anger. Verse 29. And now my hand is strong to do you harm, but Yehovah of your father spoke to me yesterday, saying, guard yourself, lest you speak evil things with Jacob. He's like, I was warned. He's like, I have much anger that I want to strike you. Okay, I want to do something really, I want to be mean. Okay, but he's like, but I'm not. I can't. Your God got a hold of me. Okay, verse 30. Now then, you have gone, for you longed to depart. Okay, there's a letter E next to the word longed. Okay, so now then you have gone, for you longed to depart. Longed, longing for you longed. Longingly for you longed. Okay. I guess he was just in much um, yearning to want to make it back home. He's been wanting to leave for some time. Now then, you have gone, for you longed to depart to the house of your father. But why did you steal my gods? Verse 31. Replying, Jacob said to Laban, for I said, lest you take your daughters and all my things away from me. So Jacob said to him, with whom you find your gods, that person will not live in the sight of our brothers. Observe what are your things with me, and take them. And he did not observe anything with him. But Jacob did not know that Rachel his wife had stolen them. Having entered, Laban searched in the house of Leah, and did not find anything. And after he went from the house of Leah, he searched in the house of Jacob, and in the house of the two maids, and he did not find anything. Then he also entered into the house of Rachel. Rachel took the idols and threw them into the saddlebags of the camel, and sat upon them. And she said to her father, do not be indignant, Lord. I am unable to rise before you, because it is according to the custom of women with me. And that is where she's talking about being on her period. And we'll get more into that detail of women needing to stay away and not, being touched by anybody or touching anybody, to make them spiritually unclean. Okay, but back to where Laban asks him, I know you've been longing to go, So, you're going, but why are you trying to steal my gods? Like, why are you taking my gods? Because remember, we just got through reading where Rachel took her father's idol. Rachel stole the idols of her father. That's in verse 19. And so Jacob's response kind of sounds similar to what we've seen Abraham and Isaac. His grandpa and his dad had kind of shared why they didn't do a specific, thing with Abraham and Isaac. They didn't say the full on truth because of the fact that they didn't want to be killed for their wives. Okay, and this one, he didn't want to lie by saying a full on lie, but even keeping it hidden. We know that expression, even if something is not even told, is still a lie in itself, kind of thing, because you're you're keeping something away from not sharing. So whether you tell a lie in half truth, that's still a lie. But even what you hold back from saying it all, still is in lie. um, but this is where he's like, his reason was, lest you take your daughters and all my things away from me. So we can see where they were always avoiding wanting to come out with just the full on truth, or to just come out and do things, honest, honest. And despite, and that's where we'll get more of a full on understanding um, in the New Testament, what it is to be, long suffering and still keep doing right. You do right, even though other people are doing it to you. You don't retaliate, you don't do things back, you don't pay evil for evil. You just continue doing right by it. So despite the fact that we see where Laban was being a messed up father-in-law, doesn't mean that Jacob should have not told him. He could have still done it more respectable, I guess. But sometimes when they're just not listening, then you have the other side to it, of course, where you've tried so much, you've been doing all that you can, you've been honest in everything, and loving the way Father expects you to, and yet there's still no change, there's still no like mutual um you know mutual love in return. If we both have Father, if we both serve God, we should be exactly doing each other honest, loving things, and that's where you can say that, just wipe your feet, you just, and carry on. So I mean, Jacob was doing all he could do as a son-in-law. That's why he told his wives, I've been good to your dad, and he says, and look at all the stuff he's done to me. And so I could see why he's like, and he did tell him. If we go back, we do see where he already warned him. It's not like his father-in-law didn't get told it all. I could have seen if you know Jacob did steal some of his herds and then took off, that kind of um, wrong way of handling things. But he didn't. At the start of reading it, um, we did see where he did tell his father-in-law that um, to let him go. He's ready to go. He's ready to have a family of his own. And that was in chapter 30, actually, when we got to see where he first mentioned it to Laban that he was ready to set off, and go back to his homeland. So it's not like he did not tell his father in law at all. And he did. He tried. He told him. But now he was just like, because what his father-in-law was already doing, wouldn't it be any of our thoughts as to like, he's just going to make it much worse. He's been doing it this whole time. He's just going to, who knows, kill me and keep his daughter and my children. I could see that. But anyways, at least he's being open and honest. And plus, he got the approval of Father. Father was like, okay, it's time for you to get up and go. And Father didn't tell him to go and warn his father-in-law. He's just like, it's just time for you to go. He's not hearing you anyways. And you did tell him. That's how I look at it anyways. Okay, so yeah, that's what I'm taking from that. And then, okay, now we do see where even by Jacob, remember, our words have power. We got to be careful what we say. And we've been seeing that names have specific meanings to them, whether it be said of an area, the location that they're in, that has a meaning. The well of oath, um, places have meanings, names have meanings. Okay, we got to see that when we started seeing the ladies start to name their children and the meanings behind it. So all things have meanings, and Father is not going to just pass pass off our words. We have to be very careful to what we say. And so now we do see where Jacob did tell his father-in-law, um, that search all that belongs to me and find your gods, and if you find it that person's not going to live. And even though she didn't do it right away, kind of sad that it did end up happening, because she also she didn't come out clean. Rachel did not come out clean. She didn't come out just telling her dad. And I kind of wonder if she took his idols just because of the fact that it was probably something she was going to remember him by. I don't know. It's just something that I think that out of sentimental, to remember her dad by. Maybe she knew which idols were his favorite and wanted to keep a token to remember him by. This is just assumption. It's not in there, but it just makes me wonder as to why. Why did she do it? And me thinking on my own dad, I'm close to my dad, so it made not to say that I would steal from my dad. I'm not like that. I would ask my dad for permission, but like if I knew something was of his and it was his favorite, you know, I'd probably, beg him. I know he's not going to want to. It's his favorite. I know that most people now today, they want something of their parents for momentum, for the memory, but sometimes people just want it because they want it. So they can't wait until, sadly, the parents die and they just can't wait to get their hands on it. That's a different thing, but I mean, it's true. People do that. Um, but some people do want it because there's just a keepsake, something to remember certain people by. And so I know I would probably beg my dad, please depart from your thing so I could remember something by you in it, you know. That's just my assumption. I wonder. I truly wonder, or did she herself, this was what she was raised in. Maybe she prayed to these gods herself, um, and maybe she honored those ones specifically, and that's why she wanted to take them. I don't know. There's a lot to think on that. But yeah, that's what he did speak, And we do see that Rachel doesn't last long. It's kind of like the same the way I look at when Father did tell Adam and Eve, do not eat of that fruit and you will die. It didn't happen right away, but it does come about. Death is inevitable. There's nothing that we're going to be able to do to try to, like, no, now that, Snake said that we were gods, that can never happen to us, taking his word for it. No, it was going to happen. It did still fulfill exactly what Father said it was going to do. And so I kind of look at that like Rachel's death did end up coming. But anyways, okay, so now we see that Rachel wasn't going to give them over to her dad, so she did end up lying to him that she was on that time of the month, and by the custom of it, the rule of it, um, her dad would have to honor, he couldn't touch her or check her stuff, so that's how she got away with it. Okay, let's carry on. I guess I'll go from her comment for verse 35. And she said to her father, "Do not be indignant, Lord." Oh, okay, and there's a letter F. I'm glad I caught it. The letter F is like a little letter F is near the word Lord, and that says, I guess it's for the whole sentence. Do not bear with difficulty. Okay, so do not bear with difficulty, Lord. So that's what she was talking to her dad in that respects. By the word Lord. I am unable to rise before you because it is according to the custom of women with me. Then Laban searched in the whole house and did not find the idols. Verse 36. Jacob became angry and fought with Laban, replying, Jacob said to Laban, "What is my wrongdoing, and what is my offense that you pursued after me, and that you searched all the items in my house? What did you find from all the items in your house? Set it here before your brothers and my brothers, and let them decide between the two of us. These 20 years of mine I have been with you. Your sheep and your goats were not childless. I did not devour the rams of your sheep, that which was caught by wild animals. I did not bring back to you. I paid from my own resources for the things stolen in the day and the things stolen at night. Okay, so now it's all being laid out on the table here with what's been accumulated. We can go through so much, how do you say, held in, I'm trying to look for the right word for it, held in, like stuff that's been bothering you over the years of, you know, handling what comes at you by family members, whether it be in your own house, whether it be in your own family that you're raised in, or be it by your in-laws, you know, your husband's or your wife's side of you've accumulated so much of what you've been, passing off and trying again and then passing off and then trying again. But these things sit within you, and it just, and don't get me wrong, you do pass it off and then you keep trying, but it gets to that breaking point where it's like, okay, I guess it was due for Family Feud day. But it kind of seems like that's what happened. That's what's happening here. Because now Jacob is just laying everything down. He's like, look, let's lay it all on the tables and let everybody decide, your brothers and mine, and let's let everybody take to witness and let them judge what's been going on here. That's how I'm looking at this situation. Okay, sorry. Let me go back to it. Okay, Jacob began, verse 36. Became angry and fought with Laban. Replying, Jacob said to Laban, "What is my wrongdoing? What is my offense that you pursued after me and that you searched all the items in my house? What did you find from all the items in your house? Set it here before your brothers and my brothers." He's like, bring it forward. Come on, show us what I have done. And let them decide between the two of us. These 20 years of mine. This is where he starts boiling out, spilling out. These 20 years of mine, I have been with you. Your sheep and your goats were not childless. I did not devour the rams of your sheep. That which was caught by wild animals I did not bring back to you. I paid from my own resources for the things stolen in the day and the things stolen at night. So even here he was just like, I've even been paying out of my own pocket, the things that I was tending for you, and um, sad circumstances ended up happening, and so I, I paid out of my pocket because of the fact that that's what happened. He says, but I've been covering myself, you know, I've been doing good with you. That's how I'm taking it. Verse 40, I became like one consumed by the summer heat during the day and by frost at night, and my sleep was removed from my eyes. Like he's like, I've been with your flocks, losing, you know, rest. And he's like, I've been, because if you, the little that I know of herders, and them taking care of the animals, they're out, you know, in the heat of the day, and they're cold at night, being with them, and as they travel. So he's letting them know, like, look, for you, I've been doing all this just to let them know, like, your animals never went childless, and if they lost their life, I paid for it. Okay, and so now we see he's lost rest for his father-in-law. 41. These 20 years of mine, I am in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters, and 6 years among your sheep, and you defrauded my wages by 10 ewe lambs. Okay, and there is a letter A by the word lambs. I don't know if it's the whole sentence or if it's just that word. It says Hebrew has times as in 10 times rather than 10 ewe lambs. Okay, so rather than the animal, it's like 10 times. And you defrauded my wages by 10 times. Okay, so I guess it's not in the literal lambs, or maybe it's just meaning by 10 times. I don't know, that's what it says. Verse 42, if the God of my father Abraham and the fear of Isaac had not been with me, you would have now dismissed me empty-handed. So you see, he puts it back on his father. He's like, if it wouldn't be for our God, the God of my father Abraham and the fear of Isaac, what he got to see by his own dad's behavior, in respects to God. had not been with me, like if I wouldn't have been passed on, you know, the God of my grandpa Abraham and the fear how to respect right the God that we serve, if he would not be with me, you would have dismissed me empty-handed. So you see, there is much in knowing the God you serve, knowing what it is to have Father on your side. Because there is that saying, if God is for me, then who can be against me? But there's that one little word, if. You have to know, do you really have him in order to have the answers that can come to you and guide you during these challenges that you face by people, whether it be friends or foe, family members or strangers, you know? We have to look to these examples, and this is what Jacob's telling him. If it wouldn't have been for, our God, the one that my grandpa got and the one my father reverenced and passed down to me, I would have been taken advantage of really bad. I would have been dismissed empty-handed. And that's what it is. People don't understand that they're going through so many things, and why is this happening to me, and why is this happening to me, and yet I pray to God. That's what they say. And yet I pray to God. And why? Then they start looking at, well, maybe he's not real. Then they start looking to that, a blame thing on him, when yet, like I said in the beginning, even in my prayer as we got started, it's good to have his word now, to know fully what we have, because many go around thinking that it's just about belief. Oh yeah, I believe in God. I have God. It's more than that. You have to have more with him than that. So even the demons believe, is what Yeshua Jesus said, even they tremble and they believe. But there's more. And we know that demons don't have relationship with him. They believe in him, but they're not going to serve him. And that's what we can imitate. The same thing. Yeah, you can believe, but it doesn't mean that he's for you. If Father is for us, if God is for us, then who can be against us? So this is where we have to glean that portion from Jacob's example here. Okay, back to verse 42. I'll just say that again. If the God of my father Abraham and the fear of Isaac had not been with me, you would have not you you would have now dismissed me empty-handed. God saw my humiliation and the toil of my hands, and he reproached you yesterday. He's reminding him of that. 43. In reply, Laban said to Jacob, your daughters are my daughters, and your sons are my sons, and your livestock is my livestock, and all that you see is mine, even my daughters. What will I do to these ones today, or their children, whom they bore? Now then, come, let us establish a covenant, I and you, and it will be for a testimony between me and you. He said to him, look, Jacob, no one is with us. See, God is witness between me and you. Taking a stone, verse 45, Jacob set it up as a pillar. And Jacob said to his brothers, gather stones. And they gathered stones and made a heap, and they ate and drank there by the heap. And Laban said to him, This heap is a testimony between me and you today. And Laban called it witness heap. Okay, so like I said, places, things, our names all have meaning, and Father sees it all. Okay, so that's in this place where those stones are, it's called witness heap. But Jacob called it the hill testifies. Okay, so Laban's own name of it is called witness heap, and Jacob has his own name for it, and it's called the hill testifies. 48. Laban said to Jacob, Look, this heap and this pillar that I erected between me and you. Huh. Sorry, I'm just trying to see. It's funny. It seems like Laban's always trying to take the credit for something here. Laban said to Jacob, Look, this heap and this pillar that I erected between me and you. We don't see it. Jacob was the one telling his men to get the stones. I don't know if that's something or not. Could just be the way it was translated, I guess. Or just the fact that he was the one saying, okay, let's make a covenant. Maybe that type of um, way of looking at it. Okay, look, this heap and this pillar that I erected between me and you, this heap bears witness, and this pillar bears witness. Okay, so I'm assuming that there is a pillar. I was trying to check for it, but first it was gather stones. Taking a stone, set it up as a pillar. Look, sorry, I'm just trying to look at for that pillar. Look, Jacob, no one is with us. See, God is witness between me and you. Taking a stone, okay, so there's just that one stone. Taking a stone, Jacob set it up as a pillar. See, well, it was Jacob regardless. When it was one stone, it was a pillar. Then he had gathered more stones. But still, it wasn't Laban. Well, that's what he was saying, anyways. Okay, look, this heap and this pillar that I erected between me and you, this heap bears witness, and this pillar bears witness. Because of, I guess that kind of falls into like you need 2 to 3 witnesses. I'm that's how I'm looking at it. One being one stone for called the pillar, and then the stones, pile of stones, and then Laban saying that both of these, this pillar and these stones, are witness, because you, according to Father and his words, in order to establish a matter, you know, to, you know, you need to have 2 to 3 witnesses to confirm it. So that's how I look at it. Okay, sorry. More things just come when you can remember things that you've read. Look, this heap and this pillar that I erected between me and you, this heap bears witness, and this pillar bears witness. Because of this, its name was called, and that's time. But I only have so much verses, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish it off so we can have the whole chapter complete. Okay, sorry, I lost my place. Look, this heap and this pillar that I erected between me and you, this heap bears witness, and this pillar bears witness. Because of this, Its name was called The Hill Testifies. And the vision which he said, may God deliver between me and you. May God deliver between me and you, that we will withdraw one from another. If you abase my daughters, if you take women in addition to my daughters, see, no one is with us. For if I do not pass over this heap and this pillar to you, nor you pass over it to me, it is for wickedness. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor will judge between us. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. And Jacob offered a sacrifice on the mountain and called his brothers, and they ate and drank, and they went to sleep on the mountain. Okay, there's a letter B by verse 55 by the name Laban, and that is, I don't know what sweet 51 through 32 equals or is similar to, I guess, Hebrew 31 1 through 33. I've never heard of that. Maybe it's a language. Sweet. SWETE. What is sweet, babe? A version. A version of the Septuagint is what my husband just said, and it's equal to Hebrew 32, chapter 32, verses 1 through 33. Okay, so it's a type of version. Okay, so verse 55, and that'll be, I think that's the last one. Laban, having arisen in the morning, kissed his sons and his daughters, and blessed them. And turning back, Laban departed to his region. And that takes care of the chapter. Excuse me. Ugh. You see where they both made a covenant with each other. There's something about that type of custom Okay, so we see where what he had told um, Jacob, what Laban had told Jacob that what he wanted from his end, I guess, in promise, May God deliver between me and you, that we will withdraw one from another. If you abase my daughters, if you take women in addition to my daughters, see, no one is with us. For if I do not pass over this heap and this pillar to you, if I don't pass over, nor you pass over it to me, it is for wickedness. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor will judge between us. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. I guess that's where we get that type of swearing by someone's name to make it good. And that's where Yeshua ends up warning us, or telling us, not warning us, but he tells us not to do that. Don't swear by anybody else. Don't swear by anybody's name. Let your yes be yes and your no, no. But I guess that's where we can see the very first place of swearing by someone's name. Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. By the fear of his father Isaac. Okay, I'm gonna check a different version of that later on, and then of course when we recap, I can have more of a probably a thought to share, but it's very unusual covenant making, customs to it. But that's what we can see by this whole thing. And that takes care of the chapter. We got through it all. But anyways, I hope it was a blessing to you as it was to me. Got me to see how, feel bad for what had happened to Jacob. He had to learn a tough lesson from what he to himself had done to his brother. Now he can kind of relate, like, geez, possibly not that bad to his brother, but he went through some struggle there with his father-in-law. That can become very relatable to the things you go through by your own family, which either side either side of it, or what could come about by certain things. But that's really hard. He went through a tough one there. But anyways, let's thank Father. Abba Yehovah, I thank you for this time with you that we got to read. The one thing I'm gleaning from this whole thing that's going to stay with me, that I stick to knowing what it is to have you, is when we have you, we can go, in confidence and rest assured that nothing will come about. Many can plot, they can try to bring something towards, the ones that have chosen you to be their father, the ones that are choosing to be your children by obedience, and they're working their hardest to do what pleases you. It's like what we saw you say to Abraham, that when he just needed to be pleasing in your sight, then all things would be added to him. Told him what you would give to him by your protection, by your blessings. And so we see that over and over. Now we can glean that and understanding. In that understanding, may our ways be pleasing. May we always give credit to you, always knowing where things come in you helping us through certain situations. It's always by your hand, Abba, that you help your children. And so I thank you, Father, for showing us. In Yeshua's name, pray. Amen. Okay, you all have a blessed week and an amazing Sabbath that is on its way. And I shall see you guys again next Saturday. No, next Monday. Shalom.